Done screwed up already, huh? All by myself, screwed up the jump there. There's this weird thing about ball, man. Like we do all this spreadsheet stuff. We talk about ADPs and risers and movers and stuff. And then you just get a little preseason football, a little good old pads into pads, helmets into helmets, and it's just beautiful. And you remember like the culture associated with it. Guys literally running, trying as hard as they can. I have never tried as hard in my entire life as some fifth string running back who was playing last night, literally at anything. And this guy's running for a contract. Like, do or die, this third down matters in the fourth quarter of a meaningless football game that barely anybody's watching unless the sickos are grinding DFS. And there's just something beautiful about that. I don't know. Like it gives you the old football feels back. The football feels last night came back in a big way. Let me switch this up here, and I'll put on a little bit of background tunage so we're not just listening to me. Where did I go? What's going on here? There we go. Boom. Lost without the boys, huh? But yeah, I know a lot of stuff, a lot of takeaways from last night. Nothing to get like crazy overreactive to, in my opinion, but a lot of nice things. And I think the first one was just the way they utilized Minnesota used the running back with the ones out there, right? Granted, no Kirk Cousins, no JJ, blah, blah, blah. That's all standard for week one preseason. But the way in which they use Ty Chandler in that like full-fledged 3-down role, say what you will about Ty. Ty played great. I think Ty working over Dwayne McBride says something, but I'm not going to go crazy with it. I think he's still that nice back end 16th through 18th round ceiling handcuff kind of player. But just seeing the way that is an bell cow running back's wet dream to be left out there for third down, have the receiving work with it. And if that was any indication of how they plan to use Madison, I mean, Madison's been a bit of a smash here, no? But in that same ADP range, in that same spot is Pierce, and Pierce did not play last night, which says something there because Singletary suited up for the Texans. And I mean, maybe that's just because a little bit of respect to the guy who was on the team previously versus the guy who just came in this year. But I don't know, a couple little like micro takeaways here and there. I'll pull up I wrote a couple notes down here. I'll pull them up as I was watching last night. But just, man, so nice to have ball back on there. Pete Carroll's a madman running Drew Lock into the third quarter like that. I don't know. Just like Pete loves to compete, and his whole mantra is compete. And they wanted to win the preseason game to set the tone, like culturally. I don't know, man. Just peak Seahawks behavior. Yeah. Let's see here. I am going to jump in BBM right now. So if you want to join me, I'm going to do this. Then I'm going to put on a little background tunage. Oh, we got 9 more spots. We got tons of spots for all the people. Spam that. Get in there with us. 7 more. GMs to everybody. Oh yeah, this is full. It's peak sweat season for the baseball bros right now. Last weekend of regular season. Actually, really looking forward this weekend. I'm going to go down to Seattle and check out Baltimore. Really excited to see Adley Rutschman, Gunnar Henderson, and stuff like that. Going to go Friday and Saturday there. And Saturday is Felix Hernandez's Mariners Hall of Fame night. And I mean, Felix was just like my guy. Felix was, when I cared the most about the laundry and I played the most baseball, like Felix was just flat out my guy. So really looking forward to going to see his induction there. Friends and family draft. This is great to see. Oh, we got Drew in here. We got Ryan in here. Best ball, Viper, always here. Brett Boy. Oh man, hockey hooligan. This is a good one. Alex is in here. Oh, this is fun. Nice. All right, cool. So we could go ahead and make sure that the 3 million winner did not come from this one. I mean, this is a tough room. Yo, shout out Dually Data. making the rounds here. Was on with Hilo the other day, and then got the call up to the big dance, to the big channel with Hayden there, talking some weekly winners stuff. So pretty dope. Great to see. Great to see a recognizable face in the community who's put some hard work in on the data side. Get some appreciation there. Okay, let me see where it's kind of dry without the tunage, eh? I'm not gonna feed the ducks, that's for damn sure. Into space. Let's see what into space is all about. That's not gonna do it. Yeah, night driving. Night driving is always the move. Can't believe I even questioned it. Yeah, last night, DJ Dallas starting over Sharb, and Charbonnet playing. So the out indefinitely tag LOL, Pete Carroll's injury reports forever, evergreen statement there. And we'll see a bunch of that bullshit come daily draft season. But yeah, I don't know if that was just like a nod to like, hey, a vet guy who's been around for 3 years, yeah, you're still the guy on our depth chart, but not actually. Just kind of a interesting little nugget there. And then Tank Dell. Tank Dell was the talk of the first game. Man, this Kelsey routinely, we saw Kelsey moving up to like 4 early in draft season, and now just routinely sliding where you're just like faced with this like, do I take Kelsey? And it feels weird because like taking Kelsey shouldn't feel that way, right? But for whatever reason, it feels that way. Feels that way right now. Yeah, what else happened last night? Yeah, Tank Dell. Everybody saw the touchdown catch where he kind of juggled it and he was lying on his back. Made a nice play there. I think he had 5 catches in the game for like 64 yards and a score. No Robert Woods. I thought that was kind of noteworthy. Just a classic, same thing, nod to a veteran guy where it's like, hey, you don't have to play preseason game 1. But yeah, I don't know, might say a little something about their rotation over there. Yeah. Who else did I like on the Texans last night? Trout looked bad. Trout threw that crazy interception that was just kind of like, what are we doing here? Nico Collins had a really nice first down catch on the first drive on like the left side, outside hash by the sideline. I mean, Nico Collins looks like he can play some ball. It's unfortunate he wasn't healthy last year there. I think through some other ones here. It was funny to see N'Keal Harry out there. N'Keal Harry and Jalen Reagor running routes for Minnesota. Like just 2 guys that we were so stoked on like back in the day. Just, oh man, these are going to be generational rookie wide receivers. And now they just, Jalen Reagor drafted in front of Jefferson. The Devontae Adams slide over and over again, and I'm going to keep scooping. I like me some Devontae Adams. A little bit of other Vegas news there. Playoff Dame, Damian Williams signed with Vegas. I don't know. They don't trust Amir Abdullah to be like between the tackles and early down guy, obviously. So he was like purely a third down guy last year. I don't know who tweeted it last night, but I was scrolling the infinite scroll there and saw it was third down snaps that led, like who led the NFL in like third down snaps. And a lot of people guessed Josh Jacobs, and Josh Jacobs didn't even lead his own team in third down snaps last year. Just something interesting of note, because we thought he was more involved in the pass game and he had that kind of breakout to start the year and whatnot. But in actual fact, Amir Abdullah was the guy that was playing third downs the majority of the year. And they'd done it in the past with Jalen Richard too. Like Jalen Richard had always been their kind of like third down guy. So I think the Dame Williams is twofold. It's we need a body in case this holdout is real with Jacobs. And we've kind of said from the jump that we think the Jacobs one feels the most real, comparative to like Saquon and Taylor initially. it was like the most fearful situation in my opinion. But yeah, it just interesting to note that now actions are manifesting themselves into what's going on, right? Interesting start here. I'm sorry, I should have the draft board up here. That is some poor looks on me. Yeah, we're starting to see this. Best Ball Viper went ahead and take Bijan pushed up like this. I was listening to Crane yesterday just talking about how he thinks like the cleanest path for any first round running back might actually be Bijan, which is, I was like, holy smokes. Like there's a little bit of McCaffrey FUD right now, obviously, with not practicing and this sort of thing, and is he still hurt and blah blah blah, and is he only going to be a 55% usage player and then all of his, or 55% snap rate player, and they're going to mix in all these other guys because they're trying to keep them healthy for the postseason run because their aspirations are greater than just this season. Very like very NBA analogy with some of the talk around McCaffrey. But yeah, interesting. I didn't see Tom Picks took Mahomes here. That's why we didn't see him at the queue when it came back around. Yeah, I don't know. Bijan just you finally get in a system with like Arthur Smith, who just wanted to establish the fuck out of it despite having Drake London and Kyle Pitts and a rookie quarterback that they could have implemented at any time last year in Ritter, and just been like, hey, like let's just see what we got with all these young fun weapons that we spent high capital on. And instead it's just like, nope, let's just pound it over and over again with Algier. And now all of a sudden, yeah. Now all of a sudden you give him a transcendent talent, as people like to say, in Bijan. Drew scooping up that third round Taylor. I mean, McCaffrey and Taylor on the same squad there. Brees not falling in this room. The people are too smart for it. We do a Josh Allen thing, set up a back thing, but we're spending a lot of upfront capital in doing so at the onesies positions. More of a weekly winner strat than BBM, in my opinion. Let's take Debo. I don't take a ton of Debo. I think if I looked up my exposures right now, and hey, if you guys don't pay for any of the tools, any of the HUDs, whatever, like the Best Ball Hub, like the dashboard that is available for free on Fantasy Life, just it's amazing. We're going to do a walkthrough of it on early next week sometime. And it's just, man, go ahead and use that. Like it's incredible free resource. Like it's amazing that tool is free. So go ahead, check your exposures, see where you're at. You don't necessarily have to balance your exposures in any regard. Like I'm all for getting exploitative if you think you're smarter than the field in certain spots. But Debo, just a guy that I'm noticing that I was early in draft season, I was eating a lot of this third round running back, where the running backs were pushed down a little bit, and you were kind of getting Derrick Henry in the third. Breece Hall was always just available there. This is further than I've seen Nick Chubb fall in a while, where Hodge got him. But yeah, I was eating this kind of like third round running back tier, and I was drinking the Kool-Aid every time of, wide receiver start, and then, hey, the running back value is in the third round right now. And that might have been true of that draft window. I'm not so sure it's true of this draft window anymore as we like progress over the summer. So I'm trying to mix in a little more Debo because, yeah, we all thought he was negative regression candidate last year because he just ran so pure on scoring touchdowns. And it's like, hey, man, you can't forecast this sort of thing. But he's also a completely different archetype of player and than basically anyone else at the wide receiver position. So, like, I don't know. He's kind of like, I don't want to say it. You guys will laugh at me. He's Taysom Hill. He's Taysom Hill of the wide receiver position, where like he's going to get 4 carries a game or like 3.2 carries a game, but he's going to get like 4.6 targets a game. And yeah. We could take Keenan Allen here and then hope to see a fall to set up a little Chargers stack, provided Hockey Hooligan doesn't go with the Eckler route plus yeah, I like it. Let's do it. Let's piss. Couple piss boys out here. some reports coming out of, well, I mean, we've been talking about the Chargers and how Kellen Moore could untap that offense and blah, blah, blah. But some reports coming out that like Keenan Allen was always pigeonholed as like a slot guy in that classic Joe Lombardi X role, where it was like Michael Thomas. They always called him slant boy, slant boy, slant boy, because he played that exact role. And then I think last year, they kind of just tried to make Keenan Allen that guy when he was healthy. And Keenan Allen's a really good route runner. I'm not sure he has the speed to burn on the outside as he once did, but there's a lot of good data out there that I'm, too dumb to remember and regurgitate right now. But some smart people saying some smart things about his ability to still separate on the outside. And if they're going to move him around formations, and this is going to be a pass-heavy offense, and these passes are going to be deeper downfield than they were last year, I mean, just wheels up on the Chargers, baby. Like, let's just keep pumping Chargers. Yo, GMs, tons of GMs. You had to. You had to do the, which one, Hodge? Oh, the Allen fall, yeah. Yeah. I was thinking the same thing, right? Yeah. Oh, it's a fun question. Okay, gun to your head, what's the correct ADP for Jonathan Taylor? In this draft window, right this moment, I would say 24 and a half. I think 24 and a half is perfect, where he's always flirting with that 2-3 turn. I think that would be like optimal right now. And anytime you can catch it after that, I'm buying it. But I don't know, like the little surgery he had to clean up the ankle or whatever, like non-invasive or whatever the term is that they use for it. It's just like, oh, geez. Like every red flag in the book just keeps popping up with him. Oh, man. Yeah, here's a good question. The Zamir factor. I mean, I was pretty bullish on, like, especially in the weekly winners format when I was optimizing for early in the season. I was pretty bullish on Zamir. Like, it's pretty hard to have running backs who just never touch the field in their first years and then come and be successful the second year. And we're kind of wanting that to happen, and we're wish casting it to happen with Zamir and with Jerome Ford. We're kind of just both painting that narrative with both those players. But sorry, I low-key losing train of thought as I approach this pick, because the thesis is coming to fruition. It's now just whether we want to get greedy or not. Okay, so the thesis comes to fruition. And if I was any other human on planet Earth right now, we'd be like, oh yeah, Justin Herbert came back to us. This is so great that Justin Herbert came back to us. But being the sick, deranged fuck that I am, I'm like, hey, there's 4 quarterbacks on the other side of the board. How far can we push it? Let's see how far we can push it. We're in a sharp room, right? The only guy I'm scared of is from the 60-61. Yeah, anyways, Dooley, to go back to that, I'll still be clicking Zamir's name. I think this is more of like an insurance policy, and I don't mind if they have a rotational piece there and a rotational piece to like offset some of the third down work, because I don't think Amir Abdul is that good, and the stuff from last year kind of shows that he's not that good. Yeah, so I'm pretty fine with this price tag right now. I think he probably crept a little too high because people were wish casting the holdout for sure. But yeah, I think we just go ahead and keep clicking his name, like 17th, 18th, 16, 17, 18. I kind of treat all those rounds the same. Like when people talk about ADP value and stuff like that in that tier, it just doesn't matter, man. Look at how much ADP's changed in the last like 2 weeks here. Well, we can look through some of the risers and fallers. This is the Underdog data from the 31st to the 7th. So not completely up to date, but like hey, look at this. Like if we're counting closing line value, like we're hashtag sharp. Like now all of a sudden, look at your teams with Jalen Hyatt. Oh my God, you're so smart. His ADP's moved 23 spots in the last week and a half. It's like, yeah, dude. Like, who gives a fuck? Like, you could have taken him at every point in that range. And the thesis comes to fruition. We're playing in a tournament with damn near 700,000 entries. Don't put a condom on your entries. Trust the people in your room to not double tap quarterbacks. And let Justin Herbert come back 13 picks after ADP. 12 picks after ADP. 13 sounded better, though. Yeah. Anyways, that was kind of fun. It's fun when a plan comes together, right? Let's see. Oh, appreciate the support. Yeah, if you guys are hanging out, do me a favor, hit that like, hit that subscribe. Like to keep coming back. Like to keep coming through. Like to keep coming back through the regular season there, in lockstep with Underdog. There, we got some fun plans for some daily content. So, yeah, doing the same with T-Law, going for it, doing the pushback. Yeah, we got it through, baby. Let's see. Oh, Brett boy getting greedy with it. I love it. Setting up. Well, the nice thing about this move that you're making, Brett boy, is like, you know, he clearly has the Jacksonville stack right here. So it's optimal that T-Law comes back. You trust these two guys that they spent high capital on quarterback, and they're not just going to take a one-off T-Law. Unless someone wants to do like T-Law plus Ingram. That's always like a little bit scarier than like the Herbert one, for instance, just because it's like right there. But this is smart too, because if you take Tyler Lockett, even though it's an ADP value and you have Walker here, you give yourself outs at the back stack with Geno. So that just made too much sense on so many levels there. Well executed. This is a good clean draft so far. Drew goes ahead and takes Addison. Addison had that 6 sideline catch last night. It was ruled not a catch. That was probably actually a catch if they'd gone back in time and reviewed it like regular season game or whatever. But sick little sideline toe tap, and it just, I mean, so eerily reminiscent of that purple toe tap along the sideline of like a young Chris Carter. Everybody has seen that play a billion times with him doing the toe tap. And my favorite anchor running back falls all the way back to us, and it lines up a little bit with Chargers. There we go. That just fell into our laps. I've been quite outspoken about the Javonte stuff, and there's a lot of smart people who are saying otherwise. So, and I mean, I fully respect that. Who the fuck am I to say, if I'm right or wrong on this? But what I think, like if we borrow Pat's analogy of like legendary upside running backs, like I'm not sure there's any running back in this like back end range that I can make a stronger bull case for being like a first round pick than Javonte. And by that, I mean like being a first round pick, returning first round pick value, right? I mean, Alexander Madison, if he plays that 3-down role and that offense if the defense is as bad as we think it's going to be, and the offense is as pass happy as we think it's going to be, that could be a really big smash there too. But I don't know, like Rashad White, like, yeah, we saw it with the pass catching last year, and now there's nobody else there other than the guy with the heart condition that should have gone higher in the draft that they brought back. Blanking on his name right now. Sean Tucker. Yeah, I mean, the bull case for Javonte, and it could go so wrong. It could go so wrong with the knee and everything, but thinking through some combos here. I like Sutton. I don't take a ton of Traylon. Let's take Pacheco. Let's take Pacheco and make a Chiefs bet that runs through the tight end and the running back and doesn't necessarily run through Mahomes. in week 17, and that's the pieces you need. This tier right here, I don't really take a ton of this tier. I don't take a ton of Dalvin. I don't take a ton of Traylon. I kind of off Kamara just in general because of my Le'Veon Bell thesis of he's due a whole lot of money next year, and they're gonna let him walk like 1,000% after this. So yeah, so in that range, I kind of always click Bateman and Sutton, and kind of don't need it on this team. I mean, you could do like double Denver thing with Sutton there. Maybe Sutton is mispriced now without Tim Patrick and without KJ Hamler. Maybe Sutton is too low right now. There's good reason to think. We kind of started draft season by thinking like Sutton might even be like camp cut candidate or like save money or trade piece. Yeah, I don't know. I think maybe he's just flat out mispriced now. Now everything is kind of like broken in his favor, and we're thrusting up Mims. Maybe we should be pushing up Sutton, 8 spots over that tier as well. Bateman back practicing off the pup. That's a good sign. There was another one there in that range that I wanted to talk about. Oh, Traylon. Dude, how perfect a fit would be. There's all this smoke over here about Hunter Renfrow getting cut. How perfect a fit would Hunter Renfrow be on the Titans? I mean, that if you're in we're win now mode, we're bringing in Nuke, we got Tanny back, we got we got one more year of Tanny and Henry basically, and then you got 2 years of Hopkins. Traylon takes one step forward. People like Chig. I mean, Chig can't block worth shit, and he's really undersized to be a tight end, but maybe he's your slot receiver in some sets. Yeah, I don't know. He's an athlete, right? Like, people like him. Well, what if you just add like a professional wide receiver to that? Like the rich man's Cole Beasley in Hunter Renfrow. Give him a 5th or 6th or 7th, whatever it takes to get him over there, right? Yeah. Yeah, this range does suck ball. You're right. Balls yeah, everybody's being too nice. Okay. Charbonnet still going in about the same range. Gibson fits this team really nicely, I think. I had some dreams of Miami running backs. I'm not sure if A-Chain is there. Actually, let's pull up the schedule for tonight and this weekend and look through like a couple of spots. Pete made a video on the Gibson thing that got me kind of excited, where it's kind of like the narrative for Gibson last year. What's changed? Like Gibson, we were taking in like the 3rd round last year, and they were, Pat was painting him as like potential legendary upside and this sort of thing. If he has that pass catching role, and Brian Robinson's the guy in front of him. I like Brian Robinson as like, he's a plotter, right? Like, that's what he is. He's a between the tackles grinder. He's Najee light. That's who Brian Robinson is as a player. I don't think he has that next, like, this generation of NFL ceiling. Antonio Gibson still has that, right? Yeah, I don't know. I think it's pretty cool to think through. All right, should we buy into a little hype here? I got a Jameson Williams thesis, but I'm going to take Nico Collins because of my thesis. Nico Collins opens up a backstack too. I wonder if we see a CJ Stroud fall after he looked bad in his first 2 series last night. I got a Jameson Williams thesis here. We were looking at, and this is apples to oranges comparison, but we were looking at some of the advance rate teams, and people were sharing. Dark Sheep started a thread where everyone in the baseball community was sharing their lowest scoring dinger teams and their lowest scoring teams. And there was a pretty common theme, right? And Rudman alluded to it when he was on the show one time, that you'd think like crazy ADP values and a guy taking like 8 quarterbacks in a row would really mess up BBM rooms. And it doesn't, to the extent of which injuries are what plague a room. So if one team eats all of the injuries and finishes 12th, or eats all of the injuries plus suspensions and finishes 12th, that effectively creates like 11 stronger teams than the remainder of the field. And then the one team that's the best of that bunch is like a low-key super team, right? And it's like, it just makes perfect sense, right? Like this is very straightforward, very linear thinking in terms of understanding that. But on all of these, not all of them, but the majority of these baseball teams that we saw do so poorly, Fernando Tatis Jr. was on so many of them. And we all thought he was a sick value. Like when he comes at a third round discount, he's a guy who's vying for like 101 production. But you had to eat a suspension to start the year and blah, blah, blah. Maybe like in these weekly scoring like formats and contests, it'd be interesting to see like what DeAndre Hopkins' advance rates from last year were, and like what rosters did well with DeAndre Hopkins, because he had the suspension to start the year last year as well. And if we think Jameson Williams can come back and do anything close than DeAndre Hopkins did last year when he came back, I mean, range of outcomes, maybe, but I don't think it's there. I don't think we could put it at like that level. Anyways, this is kind of like a long-winded way of saying like willingly accepting to eat zeros on your roster might just be like super minus EV. And we got to think about these games less in terms of like absolute ceilings and think about like the floor ceiling balance. Certain roster constructions, you can absorb it in quotations, or we think, but I don't know. Maybe there's some better data out there. Maybe there's some smarter people that'll figure that out in a couple years of like using these as test cases, where I think like doing the cross sport analysis helps a bit, because you can't really do it just football, right? Yeah. And then there's the outliers like this, where Tatis is my only advancing bullpen team. Yeah. Yeah, Gibson definitely doesn't have the same goal line ceiling. You guys are right. You guys are definitely correct in that. Yeah, I fully agree with that. Like Brian Robinson looked good at the goal line last year. I remember a couple showdown slates where he just feasted. I think we're going to keep, we pissed early, and now we can just go ahead and keep eating some of this tier of running back, which I kind of really like. In terms of correlation, let's take Tank. Tank's been getting a little steam recently. Let's pull up that ADP risers and see if Tank has moved up. Actually, here, I made a copy. Shit. Never mind. I can't share this one. Apologies. I was going to say, I can share this one with you guys, but it's not like the copy and the way they share the format. It's hard to make a copy of on the fly. Tank Bigsby up 2.85 spots. So do with that what we will. But Tank's been getting some good love out of camp right now. Just in terms of like, that's the size combo we're looking for. Got a couple other ones to talk through here. Let's see Williams go there. Bring up my trusty chart here. Yeah, the Gibson one works on a couple of levels too, because the Gibson, you get a little bit of 17 correlation with 49ers. And then, yeah, I like what we're doing here. Broncos, Chargers, 49ers, and Washington a little bit there. Maybe we could have mixed in Traylon. I don't know. Was Traylon that pick or was Traylon the previous one? Because you get a little bit of that Houston, Tennessee. Everyone's going to play the Houston, Tennessee in week 17. Everybody's going to play that game through Henry, right? I think it's Schultz for me. I think it's going to be Schultz, and we set up Houston backstack as second quarterback and just run this as a 2 QB build. I know Russ Wilson's staring us in the face there. Fuck it. No, let's do it. I wanted Mims on this team. I was thinking about it the whole time. But classic John, just deviate at the last minute there. Yeah, I don't know. Schultz would be fun, and then you set up the Houston thing and you do a little Nico Schultz backstack. But let's take Mims. Let's take Mims for the same reason we were kind of like bullish on the Sutton pick there. What up, Garage? I appreciate everybody hanging out. Chill Friday, man. We got a fun Friday show coming in the future. The details aren't fully ironed out yet, but little soft tease there. Some people in the community that you guys like a lot more than me, and I'll weasel my way in there or something like that. Oh shit, GA! I did not see this. Quebec Junior League bans fighting. I think hockey is considerably softer now than it once was. Like when I was coming up and playing, like when you played junior around here, when I was like 16, 17, like that sort of thing, like we called junior B around here the jungle, and it was jungle B. And it was, 18, 19-year-olds, 20-year-olds who had failed to play junior A or major junior hockey and then came back and just beat the shit out of each other in junior B. And then if you were good, you would throw out like 16 and 15-year-olds out there because it was a stepping stone to going to like junior A and stuff. And you literally, like, you played scared, man. Like it was fucking scary. Especially if you were like the only kid in the trees grader and no visor and whatever. But there is something about hockey that's just so pure in terms of like sometimes a fight is necessary, right? When a star player gets trucked from behind or gets slashed or high stick and he's like a younger, smaller guy, like you do need that like enforcer to do that. I do think it's a beautiful part of the game. It's not surprising that that Quebec is the league to ban it. Like that's pretty soft. We fall back into a backstack here at the tight end position. So pat on the back for not taking Schultz and then just, thinking through the game tree to find our way back to an Everett one here. Back of my mind was thinking this was a Joshua Palmer team to make a double stack with it, but just because Herbert feels like a guy that you double stack with. But yeah, GA, I could see why they do it. Like, there's not technically a reason to fight in the game, and they're trying to eliminate it and stuff. But I kind of think sometimes there's a point. Like there's a reason. Like guys used to headhunt, guys used to play differently, and maybe the game has now come to a point where it's changed enough that you don't have to fight. Maybe the game has changed enough and we're finally there. But like when I was young and I remember going, like I had a couple buddies who played on like the Vancouver Giants when I was young, and we'd go watch them because they were guys that we grew up playing with. And like, obviously I never made it to that level and stuff. And I remember one night where a good buddy of mine gets smoked in the corner, and he was like 17 years old. And it was full-fledged, like, I don't know if you guys know the name Lance Boma. Played a couple years in the NHL, and he was fucking nails. But Boma came flying in from the other blue line. He was 3 years older than my buddy, threw the gloves off, comes flying in, protects their young draft pick, comes in, and he just ragdolls this guy. And that's when you need fighting, because now that guy thinks twice. It's like honking your horn in traffic, You cut some guy off and you just let it go. Like, nah, you don't have to be an asshole about it, but you gotta give him the beep so he knows forever again that, oh shit, I fucked up there. Like, that's what fighting to me was in hockey. It was like, ah, shit, I did mess up there. All right, let's go ahead and take Brock Purdy and stack it up with Debo here. And then we can play 2 quarterbacks, 2 tight end, maybe 3 tight end in this build. But this is most likely going to be 7 running back, I think. 6 or 7 running back. We didn't take our first running back till pick 80, and he may or may not have an ACL. So maybe we put the condom on this one and take 7 running backs here. Sorry, I'm in the wrong view for you guys. Terrible host when I start talking about fighting in hockey. Yeah, this is true. I mean, like, Quebec is just like the softest of junior leagues. It's where I belonged. If I could speak French, I was like, send me the Quebec League. Yeah, exactly, right? Like, this is the thing. Like, if you, I don't know, maybe, like, I've always joked that football would be a safer landscape. Oh, it'd be a safer landscape without helmets. That's for sure. Because, like, the helmet, they've become so powerful that, like, the helmet doesn't protect the head now, that the helmet's like a weapon. And if anybody watches like rugby sevens or like stuff like that, where they play like hard, fast, physical games, but they play without padding, like, there's considerably less injury risk toward the head, right? Because people have to lead with their shoulder to tackle someone. But if you want another suggestion, like, you want a deterrent not to like throw a cheap shot or a late hit on a guy across the middle of the field, how about that happens and you just square up at the 50-yard line? Just throw hands. You got to take your helmet off and throw hands at the 50-yard line. I mean, that would get some cheap shots out of the game in a heartbeat. Oh, man. Kenny Gainwell, 169. Was waiting for that one. Gainwell getting some lead carries in quotations vibes out of camp. I think he's too small and not well enough utilized at the goal line, or not like necessarily big enough or good enough to be at the goal line there. But I've seen worse bets. Like the EPR guys were all over Kenny Gainwell earlier than basically the rest of the community was, as like their favorite. Maybe Silva in general, just as like one of their favorite late back end, like when he was available in the 17th round. Like, hey, just look at how good this offense could be. Let's take some shots on the fact that there's 2, I hate the word injury prone, but let's talk about like 2 running backs who have had a poor track record of injuries ahead of him. This is a cool 1v1 to go back to Dooley's point about the Zamir White. You know, like in this range, I was clicking Zamir White for sure last week. I think I'm going to take Gus Edwards this time. Gus Edwards has been a pretty big riser. Just the FUD around J.K. Dobbins and the potential holdout situation there, and the knee stuff, and just the fact that he didn't look himself last year. Like, everybody saw the clip where it looks like he's dragging his leg. Well, I mean, he's dragging his leg and he's still breaking off 20-yard runs. So there's maybe still something to be a little bit bullish on with J.K. Dobbins. But let's go ahead and take Gus Edwards there. Yeah. Dang. That was the one that I wanted. This is... Oh, I said I was going to bring up the schedule from tonight. That's what I really want to do. Because I think there's some cool things to watch tonight. There's 6 games, I think, tonight. Yeah. Okay, cool. Interesting quotes about Khalil Shakur today, where, you know, he's not wowing at camp and he has had a couple nice plays, but they're not like overly confident or happy with what's been happening with him. So just a little interesting nugget. Don't know what's actionable there. This team is just absolutely begging for Leonard Fournette, isn't it? I gotta stop. I got a problem, guys. I got a fat Lenny problem. I'm not gonna lie. I'll be the first to admit it. I'll be the first to admit I got a fat Lenny problem. I just keep clicking that name like, oh, he's gonna end up somewhere, right? Let's do Chuba. Let's do Chuba and get a little 17 correlation. Not the greatest correlation to have two running backs from the same game environment in 17, but week 7 bye, which plays nicely on this roster, and a little, contingency value plus, I don't know, Blackshear could get some of the passing stuff and kind of been getting talked up a little bit. And then you throw in the fact that, maybe it's Visca gets a little work out of the backfield all of a sudden, and touches are getting limited, but the contingency value for him with Miles Sanders is there. But Josh Norris really pumping the steam on, pumping the gas on the Miles Sanders train there. And I think I got to get more on board, I guess. I don't know. Like, obviously, very sharp football mind. Take it with a grain of salt a little bit because it's his Panthers. But, I mean, if anybody's going to have a pulse of a team, it's going to be the guy who's got, his favorite team, right? But I don't know. I've always been a Chuba stan. Maybe it's just because he's Canadian. Maybe I just got a soft spot for him. Yeah. This is the perfect comp ever, right? This is the best comp I've ever heard. Is Fat Lacey is literally my Lenny right now. Yeah, Spiller actually kind of fits on this team. We took Spiller once so far. Spiller kind of fun. Yeah, this is evergreen. Like what Ryan's saying here is just fuck the camp fund. Like honestly, like we're so quick to confirm or negate our priors based on like one report. It's just kind of like, yeah, I don't know about that. Yeah, new comp guy. There you go. Bedard with Team Sherwood. Gross. Worst twigs in the business. I'm a Warrior guy. I really like Warrior. I was always like an Easton guy growing up, like the old Sin Bombs, like the synergies and that sort of thing. But, man. Uh-oh. I just drafted him. This is not great, Hockey Hooligan. Roughed up. That's weird verbiage. Verbiage? It's like a weird phrase. Roughed up at practice. Did he drop the mitts? Did he get into one? Okay, I got a schedule now. Let's do this. The other one from last night. New England's backfield. It was interesting. It was crazy how much better Davis Mills looked than CJ Stroud. But hey, first ever attempt, and Davis Mills, like, I mean, if he didn't have all those knee surgeries when he was at Stanford, I think he missed a year, then got drafted, and then had a knee surgery, and then played. It's like something like that. I think he's had both knees done. I think there would have been like more hype for him. Did Tank go yet? Should we just go take Tank? Oh man, people are all over the hype already. Week 17 correlation with CPAT feels okay. Tyquan Thornton made a nice catch last night. Doesn't mean shit, but it was a nice catch. Yeah, I think this is gonna be 2772. Devontae Adams, Debo, Keenan Allen, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Nico Collins, Marvin Mims. Shit. Maybe I shouldn't have taken CPAT and I should have taken Mac Hollins. I like Mac Hollins. Take Mac Hollins first, and then yeah. Let's get the yellow going here. Randall Cobb. So cute that him and Rodgers are still just like best buddies and just go everywhere together. Adorable stuff. Why does Marvin Jones not get drafted more? Professional ass wide receiver. It's so boring, but doesn't it just feel like... I mean, Palmer's a nice little stack piece. Maybe it's just too obvious. Let's do Palmer. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe sometimes the obvious pick is just like the right one. Which is kind of like you're trying to gal brain yourself and be like, oh yeah, but we already made our bet with the Chargers. Like, we don't need another Charger. And then it's like, wait a second. Like, it's a season-long contest, and if we're betting on that offense, who cares about the Week 17 overstack? Like, let's just get us there. And maybe he wins that camp battle against Quentin to start the year. I don't know. Kind of fun. Sorry if you guys can't see. I'll take the overlay off for a second. Show everybody the last round here. We can sauce my team because it's probably dust. Puka going there. Palmer. Joshua Kelly going. Melvin Gordon. I've seen Melvin Gordon go a couple times now. Chase Brown. That's one that I wanted to hit on with the games tonight. We might get a little clarity there. That could be one to be noteworthy of tonight. Actually, I didn't even see where Ty Chandler went in this draft. Did he go? That might have been a miss by us. Chandler was probably a better pick for us than CPAT on this roster. Real. Tyler. Yeah. Huh. Interesting. So he still didn't go, but Tank Dell did. I've seen worse ideas than just tacking them on right there. Very interesting. So the old camp hype, we were still tethered to ADP, were we? We didn't see. Yeah. Lacks clear hold on the number 2 RB role. Underdog didn't watch the ball game last night, huh? Interesting. Okay. Let's run this one back right now. 2772 with a Chargers stack. Herbert Purdy, Javonte Williams, Isaiah Pacheco. Weird to say that name on one of my teams. Gibson, Bigsby, Edwards, Hubbard, CPAT. Ty Chandler would have looked better on this team than either of these last. Maybe not Chuba, but probably better than CPAT, just in terms of like contingency value on like a 0 RB style build. I think Ty Chandler would have been a better pick. That's a miss by me. I'll own that. Wide receivers, Devontae roughed up at practice, allegedly. Adams, Deebo Samuel, Keenan Allen, Jackson Smith, and Jigba, who had 3 catches last night and looked kind of nice. I think he might be a stud. Nico Collins, Marvin Mims, Joshua Palmer, Travis Kelce, and Gerald Everett. So the classic 2 tight end when you take Kelce, kind of fine with it. You take an elite early capital on both tight end and quarterback, and you just play the onesies positions as 2 at each. Yeah, kind of kicking myself right now, guys. Not going to lie. That CPAP pick is kind of like a floor pick with like a little bit of pass catching rule that would have played so much better as a high upside handcuff, such as Ty Chandler right there. Yeah, maybe Kareem Hunt mixing in here would have been fun. Did Kareem Hunt end up going? Yeah, he ended up going there. Like potentially landing with the Colts feels like a good spot for him with the broken arm situation of Zach Moss, and the potential JT stuff that we all know about. Yeah, interesting. Before we part for the weekend, can you guys see that? I'll give it a couple zooms here. All right. I won't do the whole rundown, but 6 ball games tonight. The first one, I'm really interested to see what Cincinnati does with the backfield. Just in terms of like, is it like Chase Brown? Is Chase Brown like going to be the guy? Because I've been talking all off season how they were going to like sign somebody and put someone there. Just very interested to see what happens there. Interested in the Detroit backfield rotation, obviously, as well. I imagine we see Gibbs in this game. Like, I don't think they give the rookies necessarily, even though they're high capital rookies in both Bijan and Gibbs. I think they'll both probably, at least play a series tonight. That's my thought process, but who knows? Eric Gray will be interesting to watch with New York to see if he can lock up that like RB2 role behind Saquon. Eric Gray going hand in hand with Ty Chandler conversation. They both played at Tennessee together, and then they both Ty Chandler actually ceded work to Eric Gray in 2020, 2021, one of those two, and then they both left the following year. So they played, I think, 3 years for Ty Chandler, 2 years for Eric Gray, and then they kind of like parted. Anyways, who gives a whatever? It's just interesting tie-in that it was Eric Gray who worked over Ty Chandler, and then they both moved schools. One went to Oklahoma and one went to North Carolina. So just something there. Pittsburgh, Nez can fill you in on Monday. Not as dialed there, but I think there's one wide receiver that he was opting for. It's not in the player pool that he was like lobbying for to be in the player pool. Interesting to see Cleveland's second time out. So it being their second time out, we might see some Elijah Moore. We might see some Deshaun. I haven't seen any reports yet, but maybe you see the actual starters for a series tonight, which would be cool. At the very least, I think we see Jerome Ford tonight because he didn't play in the Hall of Fame game. So be something interesting there. Arizona, Clayton Tune. Clayton Tune might be gunning for some. I mean, we were talking in the Superflex era of, what's potentially a bullish outcome for Arizona if Kyler didn't play this year. And it doesn't look like he's going to start. And it looks like Colt McCoy, shout out Underdog, newest employee and or contracted employee of Underdog, doing the scheme show with Norris there. But he's going to presumably be the starter to start the year. But if this team goes like 0-4, Kyler's not ready yet. They don't want to push Kyler. Coaching staff has a longer leash than last year because it's a new regime. Maybe they don't want to push it. Maybe they just go, okay, we're going to have another year here. Let's just not blame this season. We'll blame this season on not having Kyler. Let's just see what we got in Clayton Tune from like week 6 onward, 7 onward, or something like that. I don't know. There was a little bit of hype in the Superflex streets about like Clayton Tune as like a tacked on 4th or 5th quarterback in, punt QB builds. Denver will just be like, what do we get from a rotation? I don't expect starters tonight. But we will see. I'm not a DFS legend for preseason. But yeah, lots of interesting stuff here. Okay, here we go. Here we go. So Ford's week to week, so maybe we don't see him at all. And Toon Squad. Yeah, baby. The Toon Squad's getting some hype right now. All right, appreciate everyone carving a little bit out of their day to hang out and draft alongside me. A lot of fun. We had about 50 people here at one point. So do me a favor, drop a like, a subscribe, a follow, a little notification on your way out the door. We got membership and we got better perks to membership coming soon. But if you want to go ahead and be an early member there, I will remember you forever if you become an early member to the channel. Help support us. Help this thing going. I mean, we're just going to put it all back into what we're doing for clips and sheets and merch and whatever and giveaways. So yeah, drop a like, you lazy cowards. Appreciate you, Carlos, saying what I don't have the heart to say. Much appreciated. Anyways, everybody have a great weekend. I'm going to be enjoying myself in the sunshine, watching some baseball. Stoked to see what Gunnar Henderson looks like in real life. And happy Felix Day for one last time, man. that the K section, the King's Court, is going to be popping off there. And prayers up to Vontae Adams that it's nothing serious. On behalf of myself, BadgeBros, everybody's favorite time on the show, the end. Peace.